is a big night here. I'm Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Primetime. We have one of the Michael Cohen tapes, the secret recording of President Trump back in 2016 made by Cohen, in which he and then candidate Trump discuss arrangements surrounding a payment to former Playboy playmate Karen Mcdougal that was made by a third party, David Pecker, as head of the National Enquirer. This all happened in the months before the election. Now, this is not a great quality recording, and that will be relevant to its analysis. So first I want to play you the entire recording, not all of which is relevant to the payment. So listen for yourself.
Let me know what's happening, okay? Oh. Maybe because of this, it would be better if you didn't go. You know, maybe because of this, for that one. You know, I think what you should do is get rid of this because it's so false what they're saying. It's such bullshit. I think this goes away quickly. I think it's probably better. Do the Charleston thing, just this time. Yeah, in 2 weeks it's fine. I think right now it's better. You know? Okay, honey. You take care of yourself. Thanks, Pam. Yep, I'm proud of you. So long, bye. What's up, Mike?
Great poll, by the way.
Okay.
Seen it. Great poll.
Making progress.
Big time.
And you guys are good guys.
Oh, Pastor Scott?
No, Pastor Scott. What's happening?
Oh, no.
Can we use him anymore?
Oh, yeah. 100. No, you're talking about Mark Burns. We've told him to.
I don't mean that. Mark Burns. Can we use him anymore?
No.
Richard Lefrak, I'm sorry, Richard Lefrak just called. He just said we have a chance. He had an idea for you.
Okay.
So we got served from the New York Times. I told you this regarding to unseal the divorce papers with Ivana. We're fighting it. Kasowitz is going
You should
to
never be able to get that done.
Never. Kasowitz doesn't. They'll ever be able. They don't have a.
Give me your coat, please.
They don't have a legitimate purpose.
And you
So
have a woman that doesn't want to unseal.
correct.
So you've been handling it.
Yes, and it's all
It's been going on for a while.
for about 2-3 weeks now.
All you have to do is delay it for.
Even after that, it's not going to ever be opened. There's no purpose for it. Told you about Charleston. I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David. You know, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with.
So what are we going to pay?
Funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay for cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
All right, now, a couple of things. There are side conversations. I wanted you to hear everything that was on the recorded that was provided to us. Those side conversations aren't relevant in my estimation. And I'm not including a translation of the tape because there is clearly a dispute about what is being said. So you have to listen. And I want to now play for you the portion that seems to matter the most. This is 2016, before the election. Donald Trump and Michael Cohen on a recording seized by the FBI, the specific conversation about the arrangements surrounding a payment that had been made to a former Playboy playmate. Here's that portion.
What's up, Mike?
Great poll, by the way.
Yeah.
Seen it. Great poll.
Making progress.
Big time.
And you guys are good guys.
Oh, Pastor Scott?
No, Pastor Scott. What's happening?
Oh, no.
Can we use him anymore?
Oh, yeah. 100. No, you're talking about Mark Burns. We've told him to.
I don't mean that. Mark Burns. Can we use him anymore?
No.
Richard Lefrak, I'm sorry, Richard Lefrak just called. He just said we have a chance. He had an idea for you.
Okay. So we got served from the New York Times. I told you this regarding to unseal the divorce papers with Ivana. We're fighting it. Kasowitz is going
You should
to.
never be able to get that done.
Never. Kasowitz doesn't. They'll ever be able. They don't have a.
Give me your coat, please.
They don't have a legitimate purpose.
And you
So
have a woman that doesn't want to unseal.
correct.
So you've been handling it?
Yes, and it's all
It's been going on for a while.
for about 2-3 weeks now.
All you have to do is delay it for.
Even after that, it's not going to ever be opened. There's no purpose for it. Told you about Charleston. I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David. So that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with.
So what are we going to pay?
Funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay with cash.
No. I got no.
All right, so Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is aware we have the recording. Now, you'll remember the president waived his attorney-client privilege that allowed this tape to be released to prosecutors. Now, the team says they didn't leak the tape. This recording comes from Cohen counsel Lanny Davis, who we're going to talk to in a moment. But the point is, Giuliani says the privilege was waived because he and his team believe this tape is of no concern to Trump. In fact, they argue it helps him. Rudy Giuliani and the whole team were, of course, invited on the show tonight in lieu of an appearance. Their understanding of what is and is not said on the recording and the relevance of the same has been relayed to me. And I will make those points to Lanny Davis in our interview. However, at the onset, it seems there's one part of this conversation that matters most to both sides, and they disagree about what is said and what it means. It involves the discussion of how this corporation that was being set up supposedly to buy back any potentially damaging stories about Trump would pay for any such properties. Here's that section again.
And I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with.
So what are we going to pay?
Funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff. All the stuff because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay with cash.
No. I got no.
All right, Lanny Davis is counsel to Michael Cohen, and he joins us now. Counselor, thank you for joining us. You provided this recorded. Why?
Because everybody heard just now Donald Trump say the word cash after Michael Cohen mentioned financing, when Mr. Giuliani and Mr. Trump, through Mr. Giuliani, accused my client, Mr. Cohen, of saying the word cash. And I posted a tweet at the time, and I said, wait for the tapes. Richard Nixon couldn't spin the tape that did him in, and there's no way that Mr. Giuliani, who knows from being U.S. attorney, the only people who use cash are drug dealers and mobsters. Cash is not what you do. And it was Michael Cohen who said, no. And Donald Trump, despite what Rudy Giuliani said publicly, the tape contradicts Mr. Giuliani, and the word cash is heard by everyone.
Now, the president's legal team disputes what is being said in this tape. They even provided us their own transcript, which we'll put up at some point. They say that the president said, do not pay with cash, check, and that he was advising Cohen to do it all on the up and up because the president wanted to make sure that this was papered properly.
I'm looking at Mr. and Mrs. Donald Trump Read America. Listen to the tape. It doesn't say what you just heard. It says cash. And it's Mr. Cohen who says, no. Now, don't believe me. I'm a Democrat. I'm a lawyer representing a client. Believe your own ears. And when Richard Nixon had a tape that he couldn't dispute, the tape says what it says. And I put a tweet out and said, listen to the tapes. So everyone out there, listen to the tapes. Whatever spin Mr. Giuliani is trying to invent, it says cash. And Michael Cohen says, no.
It says some things before it. And in fairness, I didn't have this sweetened, which is what we call in this business, where a forensic expert goes through and pulls out pieces of sound. There's so much science around that now. We didn't have time to do that. So I want to go through both sides and the implications for both sides, but we don't want to get too far away from the big questions here. This recording could be argued to be fruit of the poisonous tree, that as counsel, Michael Cohen shouldn't have been recording his client, then Donald J. Trump, now President Trump. How do you get past that this whole thing can't look good for Cohen because he should have never done it?
Well, I'm not going to shift the topic. It's up to Mr. Cohen to explain why he was taping Mr. Trump. He assumed it was an attorney-client privilege conversation. I'm going to let him speak to that. I have attorney-client privilege that I can't waive. But I will say this. There is no way to spin the two falsehoods that Mr. Giuliani, on behalf of his client Donald Trump, told America to disparage my client. One is that this is the first time that he heard about the Karen Mcdougal issue. Listen to the tape, everyone. This is not a man shocked when Mr. Cohen says we have to make payments.
Even though Michael is describing to him the formation of the company and why it's being formed and how it will be financed, you believe that's a second reference?
Listen to the tapes. This is not a man shocked about Karen Mcdougal. He knows what they're talking about. Listen to this tapes. They speak for themselves. Remember that Karen Hicks, the campaign spokesman, denied...
Hope Hicks,
denied that he knew anything about the Mcdougal matter in November before the election, a lie. And here, Mr. Trump is not surprised when Mr. Cohen mentions there needs to be financing, and he immediately says cash. He doesn't say what the transcript that you're telling me says. He says cash. And my client has been disparaged over and over again by Mr. Giuliani with misinformation and misstatements. For example, what we have heard over and over again is that Mr. Cohen is living lavishly, and no mention is made that there was a tremendous flood in his apartment. He's living in a hotel with insurance paying for his hotel room. 14 times on the dossier, his name is mentioned and publicly posted were absolute rebuttals, false that he was ever in Prague. There's been a campaign out of the White House to disparage Mr. Cohen. And why is that, Chris? Because he's got truth on his side now, and he intends to tell the truth.